that can get the 2 games done on doorstep, getting all 6 points, I think it would be a very, very huge advantage. But for me, Enugu just stand a very, very good chance if they actually get the 6 points in the remaining 2 games.
Something interesting, while we have 2 points difference between the first 4 at the top of the Nigerian Professional Football League, at the last 4 at the bottom, relegation is staring very close to at least the 3 teams there. For sure bet, Gombe United is already relegated. Yeah. But if you win 2 games, Highland FC could, depends on what their result in the last 2 games, and Roma, same, and Sporting Lagos.
2 or 3 games to finish. The last time I actually checked in for Sporting Lagos, we heard some of their players were injured, and they couldn't get a good, changes. Injury worries for Sporting Lagos has been what has kept them, at where they are at this point. Same thing as well for Doma United. Some of their players, the last time we talked to the media officer, he complained of some of their players, being old. And there was a point we heard some of the players were complaining of their salaries not being paid. But so that was actually resolved. Maybe that could also be a problem. But injury worries was one of the problems we saw for Doma United, and that's why we saw this setback. It's a very, very disappointing outing for them this season, taking a look at the way they started the season, and now this is where they find themselves on the relegation zone. It's so disappointing, and the fact that they're a privately owned team, I think it's going to be a very huge worry for the owners. We expect them, of course, to maybe stay very strong and see how to prove themselves. Take a look at Remo Stars. For the past 2 seasons they came, they've done so well for themselves. They qualified for the continent last time, though they couldn't do well, but they bounced back to this league, and now they're also contending, for the title. So for me, I think everyone should look at what Kunle Tsunami, the owner of Remo Stars, is doing. He has Beyond Limits, which is also another thing, his team that came from the Nigerian National League now. They've qualified to the Nigerian Premier Football League. They won the National League and then gained that qualification. I think there's something Remo Stars are doing that other privately owned teams are not.
They cannot own 2 club sides.
2 club side, So we'll just keep our finger here. But for me, it's been a disappointing outing for Sporting Lagos and Doma United. Injury not being the best of friends for them this season, and some other issues as well. But we hope
Doma or Sporting Lagos.
It's looking likely that Doma might join Sporting.
Within a week, they went to Aba, of all places, to earn a valuable point, very valuable point, I must say.
And that's kept them, in at least a very bit of a good position remaining. I think it will go a long way, in helping them, stay away from the relegation zone this time around. Just like that. I think for me, we should give Baba Ganaru kudos, for being able to push Akwa United to where they are in the table as it stands.
Well, enough of the Nigeria Professional Football League. Now let's go. Friendly games do not really matter. What has mattered most for Finidi George, Coach Finidi George for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, is the fact that he's lost 1 to the Kosi Okpabio Stadium Uyo against South Africa, making Nigeria's position of going to the World Cup in 2026 very tight. They still have a chance of going through the back door. Yes, you heard me right. Nigeria can still go to the World Cup through the back door if they finish among the first 4, the best 4 losers in each of the groups in Nigeria. Don't qualify as the first place team in each of the 9 groups, then you can get off at one of the 4 best teams that will be going into a playoff against another continent to go into the World Cup in 2006. But for us this weekend, Kingsley, we've had the Sports Ministry in conjunction with the Nigerian Football Federation, come out of a meeting to say that they are hiring a foreign technical advisor, meaning that Finidi George reverts back to the role of assistant coach to whoever they will be appointed as the technical advisor of the team. And a few hours after that announcement, just about 48 hours, Finidi George has come out to say he's resigning his position as the head coach, his position as a coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, meaning he doesn't want to work under an assistant as a head coach, like we saw him working with Pesero for the period of about 22 months. Some people, analysts, believe that it's the honorable thing for Finidi George to do, to resign his position, and he was not given the kind of respect others have been given. Pesero, General, and the other coaches lost their first few games, and they were still allowed their position. But it looks like the desperation for Nigeria to go to the World Cup has seen him being asked for to the point where he has had to throw in the towel himself.
Yeah, it's a very dicey one. Very disappointing for Finidi George, taking a look at the way things has been, so far for him at this point. And everyone, of course, feels so sorry for him for the fact that he wasn't given that chance. He wasn't given the opportunity. Two competitive games. Yes, he didn't do well. A lot of things, happen, in those games, and that's why a lot of Nigerians, of course, are calling on him, and the NFF not really satisfied. The sport ministry not also satisfied with the performance of the players. Issues here and there for the fact that he didn't actually get his tactics right. Players being played out of position. Some of the players that were supposed to be called were not given invitation, likes of William Trusekong. Some of the players, opted not to play, in this qualifiers. And for me, was a very, very disappointing outing, very disappointing showcase for me for the Super Eagles of Nigeria under Finidi George. And if you take a look at those two games, he got everything wrong, and nobody was happy with that level of performance. But that shouldn't have been the case, where the NFF should start saying they want to look for a foreign manager. Maybe they would have, yes, they would have maybe I think the meeting they had on Wednesday was for them to see how they can resolve things, ask Finidi George what's the issue, what's the way forward. He's the manager. I understand that we didn't go to the last World Cup, and this one is the fact that Nigerians want to see the fact that the team go down there and represent the country, and that's why the pressure is this much. But yes, we understand Finidi made a mistake, and I think maybe he saw his mistake and was able to correct it. But at this point, he was not given a chance. The NFF putting him back, to be assistant or probably chief coach, like I heard. For me, is a lay down, to his personality, giving him the role to play as a head coach, and now you're bringing him an assistant. It shows that you want to play with his pedigree, and the best for him is just to throw in the towel and put up his resignation letter, and just to resign honorably, in order for him not to be his career not to be in a mess. And I think that's what Finidi is trying to do at this point in time. It's a very disappointing one for him, coming down from Imba Football Club, becoming the coach of the Super Eagles, and now after those two games, you resign due to the pressure, on you. I think for me is a bad one. But the aftermath of this, which will be the NFF bringing a foreign manager, Nigerians will be on the manager's neck on the fact that he has to qualify the country for the World Cup. That's going to be the pressure, the next manager. The situation is already dicey. 10 games for the World Cup qualifiers, 4 has been played, and out of those 4, we've not won anyone. It's a very, very disappointing result. 6 games remaining at this point in time. We should be able to get at least, let's say, 22 points or 20 points, from those games, and that will guarantee Nigeria that means of qualifying for the World Cup. Without that, I think it will be a problem. Now, bringing another coach in is another time. When will the coach have the time to gel with the players, and all of that? These are all of the things that will play in this situation. I think for Nigeria to qualify for the World Cup, it will take a very huge miracle at this point, because things are not really balanced. We still have the AFCON qualifiers, on ground. So a lot, to be put together. And I think for me, for this that has happened to Finidi is a disappointing one. No one expected this, to happen to him, but it is what it is. The team have to move on. NFF have to move on and see how they can be able to put the team in order. We can actually, not be afford not to be in the World Cup come 2026. It will be another disappointing outing for a country.
Where are the World Cup in 2018? And the World Cup
2026.
Yes, I'm saying where are the World Cup for 2018?
World Cup for 2018.
Nigeria, are we going to lose a consecutive World Cup appearance?
No, it's going to be very dicey. I think for me, the chance of we qualifying is very dicey. But I think we can if the new coach will come to put things right, and the players also playing for him, because we understand some of the players didn't want to play for Finidi George, and that's why all of this, of course, is happening. But we hope that Nigeria will be in the World Cup come 2026.
Well, just before we get out of Nigeria stories this weekend, it looks like a weekend where the Super Falcons are in the news as well.
Yeah, they're in the news. They maintain their FIFA ranking position, 36th position, as it is. We saw them play 2, games in the Olympic qualifiers. They played against South Africa, which they had put up a very impressive performance. They also played against Cameroon as well. They also had an impressive performance, and with that, they still remain in that same position, 36. But I think, subsequently in subsequent games, if they improve, in their level of play, I think they can be able to, move high the ranking. It hasn't been a poor one for the Super Falcons since Randy Waldrum came back. We've seen a steady rise for them. The players, they've been living up to expectation, and we hope to see them go down to Paris and be able to prove a point this time for themselves.
Well, we just hope that the Falcons will do their best. They have been drawing into the group of death. If you let me, you know that some of the biggest teams amongst them in that group. You know, Japan, and of course, which are the other?
Spain, and Brazil.
These are top female football playing nations. But you want to be the best, then you have to beat the best as well. Let's now get to the biggest of the football events going on this weekend across the world, and it is the Euro 2024, the 17th edition. 10 cities across Germany are hosting these fixtures, and it has been an excellent opening ceremony. Kingsley, it looks spectacular, the opening ceremony of the Euro 2024.
Yeah, it really looks spectacular, but I think what we saw in Abidjan was even more better than what we saw in Germany yesterday.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, because it wasn't that that sparkling. We just saw dancers, we saw flags, you know, and colors, like, but wasn't that colorful like what we saw in Abidjan? Wasn't that really cool? And just lasted for 10 minutes. And the game, of course, between Germany and Scotland, you know, took center stage. For me, I expected more from Germany, you know, when it has to do with that opening ceremony. I expected, you know, top-notch performance, you know, maybe from, you know, very huge, you know, artists and all of that. But we didn't see, you know, more of that. Maybe that was how they wanted it to be this time around. But it was a little bit colorful. But I think they should have probably done better than what we saw in that one. And it was an opening ceremony where the German football star, talk about Frank Beckenbauer, of course, was celebrated. You know, he passed on, of course, this year. There's one man who has done a lot, you know, for German football. He was also celebrated on that very day. But for me, I think Germany, they would have done better or done more than what they did yesterday in that opening ceremony.
Talking about the Germans doing spectacular, but not good enough, maybe better than what we saw at the African Cup of Nations, but it was quite a spectacle at the opening ceremony this weekend that took place. And after that opening ceremony, we saw the first game of Euro 2024 being played between the host nation Germany and Scotland. And at the end of 90 minutes plus added time, Kingsley, it was the Germans 5 and Scotland 1. This is one scoreline we've never seen in the entire history of European Championship in the first game. 5-1, never scored before in the history of the European Championship. Is it that the Germans were spectacular, or the Scots were not better?
They were not better. We saw a total dominance from Germany, you know, in that encounter. Of course, you definitely give it up to Germany. They have those players. They have those key players, and they are actually being managed by a very experienced manager, talking about Juliet Nagelsmann. And you saw the way they played yesterday. They have that synergy, total dominance from the first to the second half of that encounter. I think the Dutch side, of course, didn't come very much, you know, prepared. And you must give it to some of the players who also live up to expectation. For the German side yesterday, the likes of Nicolas Farouk and Jamal Musiala. You talk about, you know, Kai Havertz, and Florian as well was also another player who also stepped up, you know, for the in the occasion, you know, for Germany. I think impressive one for Germany. Take a look at the way it is, and if you take a look at their group, they are favorites, you know, in that group. A group where you have Scotland, a group where you have Hungary and Switzerland. I think Germany, of course, they are favorites to actually get to qualify for that particular. When you take a look at the performance, of course, they put up yesterday, you definitely give it up to the German side. I think it was a very beautiful way for them to start the Euro 2024.
Very beautiful for the host nation Germany to start this weekend in the Euro Championship, and they have been, you know, they've shown that yes, they can go all the way to the final. Last time we saw them win, I think that was 2016 or so. Last time we saw them win the Euro Championship. Do they look like a team now that can give their fans hope for 2024?
Yes, I think they look like that team. They look like a team that can. When you take a look at the way they are actually being...
Maybe it has to do with the quality of the teams in the group. Scotland, Hungary, Switzerland.
They have a chance.
Against Scotland, we saw Scotland didn't take any shot in front of goal. The goal they scored was, on goal. So they didn't shoot in front of goal in 90 minutes plus at that time.
Yeah, they had a very impressive defense. Talking about Germany and Scotland, they were not good enough up front as well. So for me, I think they are favourite to qualify for that group. A group where you have Hungary, You have Switzerland, you have Scotland. Germany are the favorites, in that particular group. And I think for me, you take a look at the way they are actually, they've lined up the team. I think they will be contending very, very strong, in this particular. Yes, we know we have other teams like Portugal, we have Spain, we have France, we have England to compete in this one. But I think with the setup for Germany, I think they have what it takes, to compete with the best in this particular Euro 2024.
Well, talking about Group A, we have Germany, Scotland, Hungary, and Switzerland. In Group B, at the Euro Championship, we got underway this weekend. There is Spain, there is Croatia, Italy, Albania. Then in Group C, there is Slovenia, Denmark, Serbia, and the Three Lions of England. In Group D, we have Poland, Netherlands, Austria, France. In Group E, there is Belgium, Slovakia, Romania, Ukraine. Then in Group F, there is Turkey, Georgia, Portugal, the Czech Republic. There as well. Albania is debuting in this competition. Do you see them making an impact?
It's going to be a dicey one. I think that group is a group of death for them. A group where you have Spain, you have Croatia, you have Italy. These are countries that have done a lot, when it has to do with European football. Albania making their debut, I think they don't have a chance at all, in that group. I think we should be looking forward to see either Italy or Spain or Croatia being the countries, to qualify in that group. For Albania, I think they stand no chance at all in that group.
Albania, no chance debuting in the competition, but yes, we'll keep our fingers crossed. This is football after all. There could be shocks and surprises. Talking about Scotland conceding 5-1. I think the last time they did concede such a number of goals was in 2012, and here they are in 2024, still conceding as many as 5 goals to 1. And like I mentioned earlier, this is the first time in the opening match of the European Championship there will be that number of goals. But talking about this European Championship, Kingsley, 2.7 million fans are expected to attend the 51 matches across the 10 stadium, that is being used for this competition. Is it the most watched European Championship?
To say, yeah, expectedly, to say, and for me, I think it's been a very good one. I think I actually take a look at the fans, how colorful actually they made things, where yesterday, especially in the opening ceremony. Even some of the fans will understand how, hotel bees are down there in Germany. Some of the fans have to actually create a campsite where they will have to reside due to the high cost of, accommodation, and all of that. So it promises to be an exciting one. 2.7 million fans. I think for me, it's a very, very reasonable number, to say for this particular Euro 2024.
Euro 2024 showing quality. This weekend, we've seen matches, like we said. The first one ended 5-1, and of course, we've seen the second match this weekend as well, going into 3-1, Switzerland 3, and of course, their opponents, Hungary, 1. Interesting fixture, I must tell you. Switzerland, they have the capacity to shock teams, right?
Yeah, they have the capacity to shock teams, but they've not been the best, for recent. They've not been that, Switzerland team, of course, we know before. You take a look at where they are against Scotland, Hungary, and Germany. I think we should be rooting for them to also qualify in that group. If Hungary does not show, their prowess, at the end of the day. But for Scotland, take a look at what they played against Germany. I think they don't have that chance. They don't have what it takes to be able to contend favorably, in that particular group. But for Switzerland, I think they still have a chance as well in that group.
Euro 2024 this weekend underway, and 51 matches are expected to be played. But Kingsley, something special about this Euro 2024. We've never seen it in football before, where the video assistant referee decisions are being explained to the fan right there as the decisions are being taken at the stadium.
I think for me it's a very good innovation from the organizers. This has never been done before, since the introduction of the video assistant referee. We understand how controversial the video assistant referee has been down there in Europe, especially in England. But this time, I think Germany, they, putting up another measures, to make sure that they tackle all of those inconveniences, all of those controversies. We saw what happened in the African Cup of Nations was a top-notch organization, and especially in terms of the video assistant referee. And I think that's what the Germans, they also want to do, to make sure that they ease the pressure and also make the fans, of course, understand and being carried along in terms of the decision, being taken. It's a very, very good innovation from the organizers. And I think this will go a long way in making sure that there are less controversies in the matches.
Talking about less controversies in the matches, decisions explained to the fans. We saw 4 decisions being overturned in the first game there, and I think That looks good. Something interesting again I saw for the first time in the history of football in that opening fixture at the Euro 2024 this weekend, a situation where players do not have a chance of talking back to the referee or demanding explanation from the referee when he makes his call. Only the captains can talk to the referee. Others respect themselves and stay away from the referee for the fear of a yellow card or even an eventual red card.
I think it's a good one, good innovation this time around. Only the captain is allowed to go talk to the referee based on any
on behalf of the team.
On behalf of the team, based on the decision, of course. Other times where we see players, rounding the referee is not always,
Because you remember in that fixture, one goal was cancelled, one penalty goal was cancelled.
Yeah.
A penalty that was awarded by the central referee was later changed by the video assistant referee. On such a situation, you see players, rush the referee.
Rush the referee.
Why did you?
It's a good innovation. I think for me, it will also help the referees, of course, take good decision, because in a situation whereby the players, are rushing the referee, sometimes it make the referee not to be certain or maybe take decisions, appropriately due to the rush, and all of that. And sometimes it cause problem, and some of the players are even being yellow carded or red carded. But I think the captain going to have an amicable communication with the referee based on whatever crisis or whatever call it is, it will help the game, of course, on a long way, and also save time, because most of the time when these players go rush the referees, it takes time before the referee will act, comes to a final decision. But having amicable communication with the captain will actually help to save time and help the referee, of course, to get to a final and a better decision at the end of the day. So for me, I think it's a good innovation. This will go a long way in helping the game.
Germany scored a goal and it was ruled off of offside by the video assistant referee, and it was satisfactory.
Very, very satisfactory. And I think for me, that's the innovation we're talking about this time. The video assistant referee, I think the German side, they've tried most of the kind to, shape it up and make it better than what we've seen, especially in England, where the Premier League has, dented the image of the video assistant referee. But I think with what the Germans are doing at this point in time, it will go a long way to helping, the referee and as well as the fans understand the decisions, being taken in the tournaments.
Let's hope that the video assistant referee will continue to explain and correctly to the fans as well. Talking about video assistant referee, the last African games, and Finidi George has resigned his position as head coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And for the Euro Championship, we have the first time 5-1 scoreline in the opening ceremony of the entire history of the European Championship. And beyond that, it's getting very interesting that video assistant referee decisions are being explained to the fans for the first time since the introduction of the video assistant referee. Their decisions